So I just wanted to speak about this chromatic adaptation situation that I've kind of mentioned a couple of times now. And what chromatic adaptation is our human innate ability to essentially color balance, or white balance, which is what we typically do with our eyes from situation to situation, right? So if we're outside in the daylight and we're reading a white piece of paper, our eyes will kind of adjust the blue or orange light from the sun and that sort of stuff, and and neutralize it to white. And we come indoors and then we'll do the same thing with incandescent bulbs and that sort of thing, right? So this is what chromatic adaptation is. It's our innate ability as humans to kind of try and give us this baseline, this median color profile that our eyes will always try to achieve, right? And our eyes will always try and do that. Same with exposure, right? We go into a dark room, irises open up, we're taking more light, go out bright side, they close down. So they're doing that, and then they're doing the chromatic adaptation as well. And so this is not anything to do with your lights or your camera or Photoshop or anything like that. This is happening all the time, and this is why we as image creators can get into hot water with this, because we're trying to communicate this supposed universal language, which isn't. Vlad kind of mentioned about the height thing there, right? People, like, somebody said they're 180 centimeters to me. I have no clue. I got a rough idea, right? But I have no clue what that translates to, right? So we're not talking the same language. And color is the same. It's just that we kind of trick ourselves into thinking that we are speaking the same language, right? So my version of blue is different to yours, and green, and so on and so forth, right? So this kind of came up as I had a comment on my Instagram post on over the weekend from Nightly Focus here. Always incredible work. I would love to see a blog post or video talking about your process when consulting a client, like how to effectively communicate with clients and input creative direction for lighting like this. So this is a great question, and I think that it's not really something that people kind of talk about, but it's one of the biggest kind of stumbling blocks that I come across, because the client was very specific about this type of color that she wanted, which I found kind of interesting to drill down and understand what this color was. Because how are you going to describe this color here, right? Is it teal? Is it kind of aquamarine? Is it kind of bluey green? Sea foam? Like these kind of in between middle colors can bring about some important questions that kind of need to be broached with the client. And this was one of those things. And I think she was, she originally started out saying it, bluey green color is what she said. So immediately I got the red lights going off, going, okay, we need to drill down what that means, because that is just, if you think somebody like a client or whoever can say to you, this is what I want, and then you go away and then give them that, you're out of your mind, right? I don't care if you spent 400 quid on a color calibrator or not. You need to be speaking the same language, right? So cool. So we can kind of talk about and drill down what that color is. Now, how do we then achieve that color on the day so that everybody's happy with it? And this is where we get into the issue with chromatic adaptation, right? And this is something that I've come across with LEDs in recent years, specifically RGB LEDs in recent years, as a major issue on shoot day, right? So what happens is, when you're using LEDs, you usually have all the other ambient lights off, right? Those of you that shoot LED know that, you've got to be real careful with the ambient light in the room. So all the ambient lights are off. So it's usually a dark room, and that means, and you've also got the LEDs cranked up so they're super bright. So now we have this room that has no other light in it, no other neutral light in it, which is, so there's no bearing of reference, right? There's no like white point in the room that our eyes can kind of use as this baseline, because all the other lights are off. So now in this situation, this room is this color, this aquamarine color. The entire room is this aquamarine color. And you go, cool. You show the client, and they're like, no, that looks terrible. That needs to be, it needs to be more colorful than that. And you go, well, there's 100% saturation. Like that's what you're getting. I want more color than that. So what's actually happening here is what the client is seeing, right? And this happened last year as well. I was doing a similar thing with LEDs. So again, so the whole room is bright pink, right? And this is what the client sees. Because your eyes are adjusting for these single colors, right? If there's no other color in the room, this is what happens. And I kind of use this as an example because this was wild, because it even caught me out. I was like, Christ, the lights aren't working, right? This is terrible. I triple checked, and this is the value, this is the hue value it needs to be. It's 100% saturation. Like, what is going on here? And and you look at the back of the camera, and it looks like that, right? It's because your eyes have adapted, right, to the color in the room, and they've white balanced it because there's no other bearing or foundation or white spot in the room for you to use as a basis. And this happens all the time with LEDs because there's no other light in the room. And this didn't happen with flash because you'd have ambient light on in the room. Well, I know I always did in the studio. We'd always have ambient lights on in the studio. And even if you were using all colors, like even the modeling bulbs on the gels and that sort of stuff, it was not affecting your chromatic adaptation at all, right? So this is only something that I've kind of encountered like really prominently with LEDs in the last couple of years. And like, you may think that I'm exaggerating here, but this is a very real problem that I've had to kind of overcome with clients, because this is bright pink. This is the setting. You look on the back of the camera, and this is what it's looking like. Your eyes are trying their damnedest to kind of neutralize it. Now, I went outside of the studio, and everything outside is bright green, right? Because my eyes have adjusted this so much that now normal white light is now green. So this chromatic adaptation thing is a very real problem, and something that I was kind of very conscious of on the day of the shoot here. So what I did was with this particular shoot was I kind of had I had a very clear idea of the color that I wanted to use based on the Kelvin and so on and so forth. As well, the client actually wanted the models to be far warmer than what I would normally shoot, right? And we kind of know that from like the shot that I shared here. These models are far warmer on their skin tones than I would normally shoot, and that's what the client wanted. So I was kind of aware that the Kelvin had to be taken into account as well. So what I did was I shot I think 5 or 6 images with different hue values. So just a white background, and then what I did was turn all the lights back on in the studio, right? So all the lights are back on, and I kind of took my time, make so that the client's eyes could acclimatize to now the white room with the white lights on and the white studio. And then I showed her the colors, right? I was trying to explain this prior, and she was like kind of, oh, you're kind of making excuses or whatever. It was tongue in cheek, but the point is, when you try and explain it to somebody, going that your eyes are adjusting it, so you just gonna have to trust me, bro. It doesn't work. It doesn't, right? So you have to be very, very careful with how you broach this. So rather than me kind of telling her what I was doing, I just turned all the lights on and then took my time getting the images ready to give her eyes time to acclimatize to the room. Then I showed her these 5 or 6 different hue values, and she was able to choose the best one. That gets signed off, and boom, off we go. And we know, turn all the lights back off, right? And then we know we've got the right value that everybody's happy with. But that's really the only way that we can do it with LEDs now. You can't just you can't do it like flash was and just have the ambient on, because it's going to be affecting the shot. So this chromatic adaptation thing is a very serious issue that I've kind of had to come to terms with and work through the client with, because it's frustrating when it happens. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Especially I know the bands. Yeah, yeah. I take the cross, so I see colours different too. Well, I mean, yeah, heaven forbid that people, are going to have certain colour blindnesses and that sort of thing. And, as babies, our eyesight is very blue, right? We, like, as babies, our eyes see the world very, very blue. And, in our later years, we see the world as, brownish almost, so a lot warmer in tone as well. So age can play a factor, even if you have, no known colour blindnesses. It is something that all of our eyes are going to see different colors anyway. And you got to bear in mind that, like, color blindness is the only kind of issue or problem, physiological problem that you have to be told you have. It's the only one, right? Because you see the world in your version of colors. It doesn't matter, like, because it's only relevant to you, right? You can't see. Somebody can say that's actually green. No, it isn't. That's the color that I'm seeing. You can't just tell me it's a different color, and because that doesn't help me, right? You go, oh yeah, you're right. It is green. Yeah, sorry. Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. So, color blindness is one of those things that is really contingent on everybody else's version of it, right? It's just that there are more people without this version of color compared to your version of color. That's why your eyes are seen in the minority. It's not to say that it's right or wrong, in my opinion. Yeah. I love color photography so much. I mean, it does have its issues. Yeah. Is there a color background? That there is not a color background there. That is with LED lights. Yeah. With the next color, Pantone. Oh yeah, the Pantone color of the year. I mean, don't get me started on the fast that is. Yeah, offer a Pantone color book with every shoot. It is. You can do. Now, we spent a long time getting this color right so that she's happy with it, and it's not about just choosing that color, because it has to look that color in camera for when you're actually shooting it, regardless of what it looks like with slightly blue light falling on it from the makeup mirror compared to the studio light, which is orange light. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Yeah. Go mirrorless. My left eye has a very slightly warmer color vision. Really? Anyone else has that? Always wondered why my brain wouldn't compensate for that. That is kind of crazy, actually. Yeah, I've not heard of that. Because I mean, like, the brain, as you kind of mentioned, does compensate dramatically for that. I mean, I think, for example, if you were aware, I used to live with a guy who did LASIK surgery, which is the like the fixing your eyes with the lasers and that sort of thing. And I'm going back 20 years now, so it was kind of early on, and like they were doing tons of kind of courses and experiments and that sort of thing. Experiment sounds nefarious, but he had a lot of knowledge about how the eye worked, basically. And he was saying that look, you can wear glasses that inverts the world. Let's just say you wore glasses and it just flipped everything upside down, right? Your brain would turn that around. If you wore those glasses for long enough, I don't even know how long it is, I don't even think it's a crazy amount of time, your brain would go, this is not helping. Like, this is not helping. And your brain would actually flip that world around, right? It would look at that image and go, this is not helping us. And that brain would flip that image. So when you take the glasses off, the world would be back up would be upside down again. So yeah, you're right. The brain is extremely powerful at compensating for the data that it's receiving, and is then interpreting that. It's not this kind of locked off, hard facts that I think a lot of people refer to it as. Oh, it's fairly common. Okay. The crazy thing is, our reality is actually upside down. Yeah, I mean, could be. So, yeah, this is something that I've been kind of working. And this, I saw this the other day. I don't know how true this is. So the look of Severance, I haven't seen the show, so I can't really comment, but the look of Severance was just as important as the story itself, setting the tone for its eerie, almost hypnotic world. Jeremy Hindle and the production design team knew they had to get it just right, especially since so much of the show is just people walking through hallways, something that could easily feel dull and without the right atmosphere. One of the most obsessive parts of that process was finding the perfect shade of white for Lumen's office. They tested around 50 different whites, some with hints of blue, green, red, or beige, laying them out and watching them through a projector for hours. In the end, only 2 worked, proving how much thought went into every tiny detail to make the world of Severance feel both ordinary and completely unnatural at the same time. Now, I don't know how true that is. That seems excessive, right? That seems excessive. Like, I've certainly heard of, I remember years ago, I forget the director now, was it Tony Scott? I don't know, I forget now, but the guy who made Collateral, which is basically Tom Cruise driving around a city at night in a taxi cab, right? And essentially what they did was they spray painted all these different car bonnets, like, I don't know, 10 different colours, and took them out at night under the phosphorus lights of the street lights, and sort of took their best reading as to, okay, what color do we need to paint this cab so that it looks best contrast wise and that sort of thing when we're out shooting under these types of lights. So I know that cinematographers do this. 50 seems excessive, though. I will say I'm not sure if they did 50. That seems a lot, but regardless, the point still stands that this idea of trying to kind of force this color to work with because he's walking there in the blue suit and that sort of stuff. So kind of being aware of how we're going to see these colors, even whites like this, is kind of interesting. Yeah. And you just saw the hey Sean, how you doing, mate? So yeah, again, I don't know how real this is, but again, you can kind of see that it is something that is taken very, very seriously. Yeah. This is an article that I kind of found. This is extremely nerdy, and this is kind of more from. It's not easy reading. But the point that this article is making here is that not only are our eyes adapting to colors to kind of neutralize colors, but and they don't really mention it here, but we have something called semiotics, right, which is our fundamental kind of understanding of what color certain things should be. So the point here is that there is not a single pigment or there's not a single red pixel in this image here on the left. But the semiotics involved with color, our understanding of color, is that we know that those strawberries are red. Now, there's no way that we can know that because there is no red in that image, but we subconsciously know that they're red based on our understanding of the item being shown, and this is what semiotics is. So that, coupled with chromatic adaptation, there's this whole kind of middle ground of ambiguity that can be a nightmare. So this I find kind of interesting, right? You can kind of trick people, like yellow taxi cab and that sort of stuff. Things that we kind of instinctively know are certain colors, and our brains just kind of see it, like we know that those strawberries are red, even though there isn't no red there. I do find kind of interesting. Yeah. Link to the article. Yeah, thank you, Vlad. I meant to do that. Thank you. Yeah. So this is the classic, right? From years ago. I think it was like 2015. A photograph of a dress went viral, dividing viewers over whether the colors were blue and black or white and gold. The optical illusion highlighted differences in the human color perception and sparked widespread debate across social media and among celebrities. So I'm sure some of you remember this, right? You remember this way back when. Can you believe it's 10 years ago? That's fucking wild. But essentially, yeah, this was kind of like a viral meme type thing at the time. People saying, if you can believe it, whether the colors were blue and black or white and gold. Now, look, if you're seeing blue and black here, man, I got I got some questions. But again, this is a famous case of this kind of chromatic adaptation thing happening here. Yeah, I know, Sean, right? Yeah. So yeah, when I have time, I do kind of want to put together a proper article on this, because I do think it's a fascinating topic that I think is kind of overlooked by many people, and I think it's becoming more and more prevalent now as we start to shoot with full RGB lights, with no ambient light in the room. This is a real problem. Like, this is a major problem that I'm coming up against with clients, right? And like I've found out in the past, when I'm showing them this going, I know that is pink. Trust me, bro. It's not, that's not going to wash, right? So this is why, in this shoot here, I took the approach of like, let's take our time with this. Let's just drill this down. Let's take 6 shots or whatever it was, varying blues. Turn all the lights on. There's no need to explain to the client what you're doing, because then it just sounded like you're making excuses. So turn all the lights on. I was being very slow about showing her the images to allow her time for her eyes to adjust to the now neutral white balanced room. Show her the images. She chooses the color that she wants. Boom. Lock it in, and then off we go. So this is something that I found has worked. What works for me, and it's certainly something that I'm going to be more aware of moving forward as well. Yeah. Tila Mushamus, what the hell? Yeah. Zero ambient is a problem anyway for a wavelength standpoint. It is, yeah. Zero ambient is because it's not something that I ever did in the studio with Flash, right? It's not. I didn't really think about it. But now with LEDs, you have zero ambient. Yeah. I just screenshot the strawberries and imported the image into Photoshop. Used the eyedropper zero red. Love it, Sin. Love it. I mean, to be fair to you, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So that is interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair play to you. I didn't. I mean, I knew it was a thing that happened, but I'm glad that there are cynics out there like you keeping us safe. So I just want to end on this final thing where chromatic adaptation can be used against us, right, in a very clever way. So I just want you to watch this short video. It's 1 minute long. I just want you to watch this. Okay, I'm just going to mute this so we don't get done for copyright. Now, is that not the most brilliant, richest, strongest color red you've ever seen in your life? Like when that comes up, you are like, wow, bam, huge, right? It's such a rich, deep red. And the reason that's possible is because they are using chromatic adaptation against you, right? So for the first 60 seconds of this, your eyes are being shown blue. So even the reds and stuff have been taken out of this footage, right? So it's got this blue grade on it. Everybody's wearing blue, right? Everybody's got blue shirts on, blue clothes on, right? I mean, his white shirt here is blue because of how much it's been neutralized. And look at the reds here. Look at how much blue has been stripped out of these reds. Look at these reds here. All the color, this is a very heavy blue grade that is put on this, right? More blue here, right? Look at these reds have all been stripped out. They're all wearing blue here. Blue again. Just got blue on. Look at all this blue in this footage. Again, right? And even like the reds have all been knocked back, so they're almost, you know, oranges and stuff, right? So that when their logo comes up at the end, bam, you are just, wow, that is the most incredible red I've ever seen in my life. Very, very clever. Very, very clever. This is a recent advert that I saw the other day, and I was just like, yeah, that's clever, man. These guys knew what they were doing. Yeah, very, very clever. Yeah. So they know damn well what they were doing there, and that wasn't done by accident. But they are counting on the fact that your eyes are gonna chromatically adapt to the images that you're being shown, so that when they show you that red, it absolutely blows you away. So you can, this is not something that we can kind of use as stills shooters really, because we don't, you know, because we don't have that kind of that story that video can do. But for videographers and stuff, like, it's such a powerful tool, and I see it not really being utilized too much. This is a brilliant example of it, very, very powerful example of it. And it kind of, when I first saw this, I was just watching the video, and you're watching this crazy walrus, you're just like, oh yeah, you just letting it wash over you. And when this popped up, I was like, damn, that red is crazy, right? As the color nerd that I am. And then it wasn't until I went back and I was like, yeah, that grade is just been stripped entirely. Yeah, look at that, right? It's just like 90% blue. So you can use that chromatic adaptation to your advantage, and it can be very, very, very powerful. Yeah, in the right hands, for sure. Yeah, yeah.